Hermann Prime is here, and with his poison skill, he has the potential to be one of the best field commanders in Rise of Kingdoms today. Today, we're going to do a testing to find out just how good he really is. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another Rise of Kingdoms gameplay episode from your very own Shappy Gaming. Today, we are going to be testing Hermann Prime to see how good he really is. Up until now, I've heard Hermann Prime is potentially a must-max archer commander if you're running any archer marches in the field. But there's already a really good archer march out there with Boudica Prime and Zhuge Liang. So the question is, should you be maxing Hermann or not? Before we get too far into it, let's talk a little bit about the conditions with which we tested, because I know that this is always super important and everyone wants to make sure that we are testing properly. So, first things first, we did a bunch of different duels in order to test, and these are not all one-on-one duels. Yes, you heard me correctly. Up until now, you may have only seen one-on-one duels for Hermann, but we wanted to make sure that we were providing the most holistic outlook into what this commander really offers. So, we began with swarms. The first swarm testing that we did was against my Ho Chu Bing with Joan. I was running 100k T4 cavalry and 100k T5 cavalry. We did this because Kanuni, who I was testing with, huge shout out to him, only had 100k T4 archers. Couple other things to call out here. Kanuni is VIP 17, so he does have that 5% damage boost. But as you can see here, 100k, 100k, and his is also 100k, 100k. So it was very balanced. We also did this with no equipment on any of the commanders that we were testing with, no armaments on any of the commanders we were testing with, and base level city skins. Why did we do this? We wanted to make sure that we were reducing variability as much as possible, and we wanted to get true insight into how good these commanders actually are. So, that's the foundations here. We started with swarm testing, which if you want to jump to specific sections, you can check the comment section or the description. I'll have the links there. We did swarm testing against Boudica, against Hermann, and then we did some poison testing to see if the poison actually does stack when you have multiple Hermanns in the field. We did some one-on-one testing because it's not a testing video without that. And then we actually did some tankiness testing where I swarmed his marches. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. All of the recordings are going to be on the top left of the screen here for you, and I will start playing the first one now. So, the first test was him swarming my Ho Chu Bing with Joan of Arc. And we did this test because I wanted to see if Hermann is extra viable in the field. Because of the poison stack skill, he's going to make your other marches stronger, or at least deal more damage. And we wanted to see how tangible of an impact that was when you're swarming a single march. No, we used 3 marches here, and the marches did remain constant each time. So what we saw was that, if we just go over to the battle data, in the first duel, which was the baseline, I got 187,000 kill points, and he got 467,000 kill points. I took almost 30,000 severely wounded, and he only took 13,000. And this was across all 3 of his marches. Again, no equipment. Everything was kept consistent from one duel to the other. So that was the first swarming duel. What's my takeaway here? Boudica Zhuge is awesome. It traded really well already against my Ho Chu Bing and Joan. Ho Chu Bing and Joan have very low variability in their skills, so we expected this to be pretty constant. This was our goal to see, okay, we have Boudica already. Should we be maxing Hermann? So, our next duel, and this will also be playing on the top left for you, was a little bit different. So as you can see, already my severely wounded went up. And this is just from the Archer March, and the Archer March was always attacking first, as you can see in the recording. My severely wounded already went up, and his did too. And there are a couple reasons for this. Hermann is not the tankiest of commanders. We did do swarm testing, But in terms of his skills purely, he doesn't have a lot in the way of health. I think he does have defense, but it didn't make all that much of an impact for him. Now, if we do look at how it impacted the holistic testing here, you can see that the battle data, I got way fewer kill points, way fewer in this particular duel. I went from 187,000 kill points down to only 135,000 kill points. Now, it is worth noting his kill point gain did not go up very much. His severely wounded is less. He had fewer severely wounded, which is good. But his kill points, in terms of the actual kills he got, didn't go up substantially. So what is the takeaway here? Hermann seems to make it so my March died faster, which is what you expect with that poison damage, as it increases the amount of skill damage my March would take. That said, it also meant that I dealt less damage to his marches overall. So, in this situation, it does look like Hermann can make a statistically significant difference when you're running him and you're swarming a single march. Again, we did not change anything between these duels other than Hermann. And if you do want to see the talent tree, I'll be sure to link that at the end of the video, so you can go check that out as well. So, in these two swarm tests, the answer is having Hermann in your march does make a difference. It doesn't necessarily increase your kills, but it does mean that you're killing the targets that you're attacking much faster than you would be otherwise. So that's the observation that I have here. As a consequence of that, I did take fewer severely wounded in this battle, mainly because the fact that skill damage tends to not deal as many severely wounded as normal attack damage. And if you're killing the target faster, they're not going to have as many severely wounded because it's mostly skill damage that's making that impact. Now, the next question we had was, does the poison from Hermann stack? And thanks to Kanuni, again, he had Tamiris. And with Tamiris, we were actually able to see if the poison does stack. And if you watch the video on the top left here, you'll see my poison numbers go way higher than they did previously. However, something to keep an eye out for is if you're using Tamiris, one of her skills actually clears the poison damage. And that's right here. And when you're using Hermann, you don't particularly want that because that poison damage is going to make all of your other marches deal more skill damage. So what I would say is, yes, having multiple Hermanns in the field is going to make a big impact. However, you don't necessarily want to add Tamiris for the double poison because then you do clear your stacks. Just something to keep in mind. But this test was really enlightening because as you can see here, I ended up taking almost as many severely wounded from these two. Just 2 marches. Almost as many severely wounded as I did from the 3 march swarm. Now it is worth calling out here, his Boudica Tamiris was all T5, so that may play an impact here. However, taking this much damage from 2 marches instead of 3 is pretty substantial. And the severely woundeds did increase. They didn't increase as much as the Boudica Zug, but it is something to consider. More poison in the field means more damage being dealt. So if you were wondering, does the poison stack in the field? The answer is yes. Moving swiftly onward to our one-on-one tests. And this is probably the most common experience that we see, is one-on-one testing. How does Hermann do in a one-on-one? Hermann is not a one-on-one commander. Do not use these tests to decide if you are solely going to invest in Hermann. If you're using Hermann, you should be using him alongside other marches. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, here's our one-on-one test. We started with Hermann Zug. As you can see, my Ho Chu Bang and Joan lost. And that's to be expected because, again, Kanuni is a VIP 17 player, and he's using Egypt, which is an archer civ. I am VIP 16, and I'm using France, which is an infantry civ and only gives me 3% troop health across all 5 marches. If you're curious about the civs, why I use what I use, check the video on the top right side of your screen now. I break all that down and explain why I pick certain civs and which civs might be best for you. That said, this was actually pretty close. My kill points were 316,000. His were 380,000. Realistically, he has 25,000 troops remaining. If another march comes, he's probably going to get wrecked. But how does this compare to Boudica Zug, where Boudica is in fact functional in a one-on-one and could be used in that field? Well, as you can see here, Boudica Zug also did pretty well. In fact, I took way less kill points against Boudica Zug because, again, Boudica is much better as a one-on-one commander than Hermann is. But this is something worth considering when you're thinking about investing. As we talk about, ancient ruins or altar, maybe you might want to run Boudica instead of Hermann. But again, that depends on how many people in your kingdom are running Hermann, because again, Hermann's poison does stack. But to answer the one question, which is in a one-on-one situation, which do you want to be using? Realistically, based on this, you're probably better off using Boudica Zug. He ended up with more troops after, and I believe he even got more kill points with this duo. What this tells me is this is really close. I may not necessarily need to go and max Hermann if I already have Boudica, which is great news for me because I was stuck between these two. So that concludes the one-on-one testing. I hope that this was enlightening for everyone. Again, all conditions were kept constant. The duel's on the top left side of your screen. You can watch that. And if you guys want the reports, be sure to join the Discord. Links in the description. I will share all the reports there as well. Now, for the last testing, I wanted to see how tanky Hermann is, because again, his skills really don't lend themselves to being too tanky, and archers are constantly targeted in the field. I don't know about you, but if I see an archer and I'm running Ho Chu Bing or Nevsky, I'm targeting archers, and it's usually going to be Boudica or Hermann, especially with Hermann's poison stack. So let's pull open that report for you. The first testing that we did was against Boudica Zug in order to get our baseline. So here we are. Here we go. Boudica Zug. So he took 30,000 severely wounded. I swarmed him with Boudica Zug, Guan Yu and Scipio, and of course, our Ho Chu Bing Joan, which was our baseline. I was using T4 units only, as you can see here, and it was 200k. It was the same as when he swarmed me. Now, how did this do? He ended up getting 219,000 kill points with Boudica, and I got 476,000. He took 30,000 severely wounded, and I only took 19,000. Capture these numbers in your mind because the next one is really, really close. Really close. So, if we go back over here, and we take a look at Hermann. How did Hermann do? Again, he took 30,000 severely wounded, almost identical, and 219,000 kill points. That's what he got. If we go back and we look again, this is absolutely crazy. Because again, 30,000, 219,000 kill points. He did almost identically with both of these marches, which means that despite my convictions that Hermann is a little bit squishier, it didn't actually play out that way. Now, what about the kill points? I took 19,000 severely wounded and got 476,000 kill points in the first duel against Boudica. What about against Hermann? Hermann, I got more kill points, I believe. Looking at this, I got 483,000 kill points, which I believe was more. But I did take more severely wounded. I was up to 20,000, whereas previously I was at 19,000. What this tells me is that my concerns about Hermann not being all that tanky really don't matter. Because when his march was getting swarmed by my 3, it held its own just as well as Boudica did. Now, maybe Boudica's not the tankiest, but when you're thinking about swapping out these two commanders, especially if you're only going to run 3 marchers or 4 marches, this makes a really big impact. So, what is my guidance here? Should you be maxing Hermann? The answer is, of course, it depends. If you already have Boudica maxed, the differential that you're going to see between Boudica and Hermann for your own kills is really not that substantial. Boudica and Hermann seem to be performing just about the same. Now, if you don't have Boudica maxed and you're looking to max one of the two, absolutely go for Hermann. And there are a couple reasons for this. the field damage that you're going to see with maxing Hermann is really helpful. And for your kingdom, maxing Hermann is going to be a better investment because the more people with Hermann in the field, the more skill damage that everyone is going to be doing. But if you are looking for a one-on-one archer march, I don't think Hermann is the one for you. And if you are looking to just run one archer march and you already have Boudica max, I don't think he is necessarily worth the investment. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. This is my guidance. Now, for the talent trees, you guys wanted to know what they are. I will pop them up on the screen for you right now. Take a screenshot, look into that. There you go. Overall, I am really pleased with this testing. I think that Hermann is probably an S-tier commander, maybe a little bit better than Boudica holistically. That's why I'd say max him if you're at baseline with both of them. But overall, I'm really pleased with this commander. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I hope that you guys have enjoyed. If you have, do hit that subscribe button right over there, bottom right-hand corner. I hope that you guys have enjoyed. Thank you all. Shappy out.